let me walk you through the exhibition. Here are some smaller paintings. This one, this one's called Light Brown Gate. Anyway, there'll be a sign there with a quote, and here's the invitation picture. You will have seen that a few times. This painting's from the back door, and I'm just going to tell you now that I had to tip it a bit because there's a post there in the middle that made the shed look really crooked. You can see here too, in this painting, you can see all the way through to the other end of the shed. This painting might stay in my collection, I think, if it doesn't sell. Some pretty interesting stuff happened with that one. There's a painting that I called Fairly Big Painting. And really, if I'd had a bigger piece of paper, I could have kept going. The light in this shed is amazing. It comes down out of the skylight, and it also reflects back out of the lights from behind. The back door is pretty astonishing. Here's the other fairly big painting. It's framed presently with perspex, and so it had to be framed that size, because that was the size of the perspex that came, and it only just fitted in my car. I wish you could see how peaceful this place is. And here they are. Here's the shed from the tip, which isn't really a shed from the tip. It's really just a shed from near where people put their rubbish. And if you have a look here, you can see it across to the Sundown National Park. Yesterday, during lunch, I said, I've made this painting and I've called it Yards with Red Feed Bin. Does anyone know if it's actually a feed bin? Some wag said, well, if it looks like a feed bin and it smells like a feed bin and it quacks like a feed bin, it's probably a feed bin. This is called All Set About with Pepper Trees, and you'd be surprised the number of times that I wanted to say All Set About with Fever Trees. Do you remember that story from Rudyard Kipling? These were some of the early works that I did where I really honed in on one particular section of the building, really got to understand how it was put together. It wasn't until I got to this point that I realised that at some point in its history, the roof had been blown off this shed. So this painting's called Shed Without a Hat. This is called Five Circles. This one wasn't going to be about the board, it was going to be just about that central wool bale, but in the end it turned into all about that whole section. These works all go towards the back. And here, this is one of the most interesting things about this particular shed. There it is, there's that landscape. In the olden days, a dray would have been underneath that. So we're probably 2 stories high here. About the height you would normally be at the top of the roof of an ordinary house. So the dray would have been underneath that and the wool bales would have tipped out. And they're the paintings. Upstairs, oh, that's the grand piano. Upstairs there's another exhibition that they're hanging at the moment, and in here in the cabinets I've got the small works. You've seen them before. The small works that are about just small details of what I can see. Warrego Press, things hanging, Red Cross, posts without rails. There's that back view again. You've seen the hundreds of tanks that I've painted over the years. And then here are the sketchbook drawings. It's exciting to have included these as part of this exhibition. It's usually a very private thing, and I think from now on I will probably make a note to myself not to draw on both sides, because there's a lot of drawings here that I couldn't include. I'll be interested to see if people pay attention to these and then go and find the painting that I ended up doing. I'm incredibly grateful for the work that the volunteers did yesterday, where it really was a discussion between me and the artist and the volunteers about what's going to look the best. This is focusing on the glass cabinets. And for amusement, I added the cover of the book. So, and here it is. And here's the shed. And there's the gallery. Thank you to the Stanthorpe Regional Gallery. Thank you to the volunteers who so efficiently and happily did everything yesterday. It was wonderful to watch. And thank you to the people who own Nundubbermere and who have been such a support and so excited about this project all the way along.